Hi, it's me, Frauke, and in today's video I want to talk about what it's like to have a Moon Ascendant. What is a Moon Ascendant? Let's start with that. So if you look at your Ascendant, you can have planets that are located close to it, which is called a conjunction. And for example, I have a Pluto and a Moon Ascendant, so I could do a video about having a Pluto Ascendant as well. I could also do a video on how these influence, but I also have a Moon Ascendant. My Moon is in the first house, in conjunction to my Ascendant, and this has, for me personally, has had implications on my life that I want to go into. So this video is more of a personal thing, what it feels like for me to have this placement, and I would be very interested if it's the same for you as well. So let's start with childhood. So I was a very, very, very emotional child. So I would cry a lot about really small things. I was very sensitive to the emotions around me, so it was almost like I could grasp the emotional climate of a situation, and sometimes that's what would make me sick as a child, like emotionally sick. I couldn't explain it, I just felt that certain places were off and I didn't feel good. Yes, also, I read online a lot that when you have displacement, you often have a very dominant mother. That was 100% the case for me. So my dad was mostly absent because he was working a lot, and my mom was the main person in my life, as I don't have immediate siblings that I grew up with either. And she was very careful, almost too careful, trying to shield me a lot, but at the same time she was also really strict. So that's a really interesting thing. So bear in mind that, or keep in mind that I also have a Pluto Ascendant. That also gives a little bit of a different twist to my experiences, but I feel like me being so sensitive and really my emotions being on display, on the forefront as a child, I could not hide my emotions. I still have a hard time doing that. Yeah, so my emotions were always for everyone to see, especially if I was hurt. Additionally, I was always, and still am, very fond of animals and nature, to a degree where I can't even kill a fly or a spider. It's really hard for me. Not that I've never done it before, but to me everything, I don't know, is a being, and I have a really hard time doing that. And I would say this is also part of this placement, is this kind of, you feel like you want to nurture and you have a lot of compassion. I have a lot of compassion, and I can even have compassion for people like, and I know this is very controversial what I'm about to say, but I even have compassion for pedophiles, murderers, people where most of society has a kind of a black and white thinking about. It's not that I justify it, that's not the case, but I can have compassion. Like when I hear their personal stories, I hear about their childhoods, I have compassion, and I remember it being like that since I was a child. So it's a core element of who I am as a person. Yes, so now let's hop in more into my adult life, maybe my teenage years, my adult life as of now. First of all, I am very influenced by my surroundings. So I used to live in a city for 3 years, and it was horrible. I can't live in cities for a longer period of time. the stress of the city, I would take that on like a sponge. And I'm also very influenced by the weather, you know, it really shifts my mood, and I feel like this is the case for a lot of people, but I also know a lot of people who are very stable, who would also say, oh man, this weather sucks today, for example, but they're not as affected by it, like their mood is not as influenced and kind of always moving. Which brings me to the next point, is that I'm very, very moody. You know, I could be super super joyful one minute and then super sad the next day, the next minute. So that's definitely something that's going on. Yes. Also very influenced by whatever music I'm listening to or whatever movie I watch. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, also very much influenced by the people I'm around. I care more about who I'm doing something with. Maybe a little note on my appearance. I feel like because I also have a Pluto ascendant and my Pluto is even closer to my ascendant, that is something to keep in mind. But what I definitely notice, or you guys probably noticed, is I have quite a high-pitched voice. It used to be even stronger when I was young. And I think that's also something a lot of Moon ascendants struggle with, from my experience, is that we have a hard time being taken seriously because we have this childlike demeanor about us. This one's pretty obvious, but I'm very influenced by the moon phases as well. It's something a lot of women have. You know, people with a lot of feminine energy. I even wrote an ebook about this. I wrote an ebook about the cyclical nature of life, the cycles of life, and how it influences feminine energy, how it's interconnected. So I go into more detail about it there, but I noticed that I really need to learn to not keep myself to the standard of being productive the same way every day, and to have a stable routine every day. I am not like this. I'm a very I don't want to say impulsive person, but a lot of the things I do are based on how I'm feeling that day or that hour, if I feel inspired to do it. So for example, the first time I started filming this video, I just had this random idea. I was laying in bed, maybe I'll show the clip in the beginning, and I was super tired. I was just so tired even though I didn't do much. And then I looked up that I was in my luteal phase of my menstrual cycle. I will go into more detail about this in my ebook as well. And then I noticed, okay, this makes total sense. Like, I really depleted myself. I didn't really pay attention to that, and I was really tired. And I felt so relieved when I thought about that. So there's nothing wrong with me. It's my biology, it's my body, it's okay. I'm influenced by the things around me. And so I felt inspired to do that video. And it's the same, like right now I was listening to music and I was just thinking, hey, you know what, I could do this video. I'm really feeling in the mood for it. So I have a really hard time, like other people, sticking to plans. I do make plans, but I keep a lot of space for how I'm gonna carry out these plans. It's something I'm still learning. I'm not perfect with it, but yeah, I noticed this about me. I'm also really good at tuning into other people's emotions. That's maybe something I could go into as well. It's a strength that I feel like I developed, is that I am really, really good at knowing how somebody is feeling, and I can have compassion for that no matter what. These are my experiences I have with being a Moon Ascendant, from my childhood up to the way I live, up to how I am in relationships. It really boils down to being a sensitive, childlike person. That is where it's more on display. I think that's a really good way of summing it up. And I've also read that people with a Moon Ascendant can be really good mothers. I can't say anything about that yet because I don't have children. But yes, so I would would be really interested in what your experiences are, if you could add anything to it. Yeah, and thank you for watching. I'm wishing you a very nice evening, or whenever you're watching it. Here, it's about to get dark, and yeah, hope to see you soon again.